Bismillahirrahmanirrahim or Assalamu alaikum. Umar Raza is my name, and I am an HR consultant working in HR field for last 21 years. And if you want to know more about me, you can click at the description link below, in which I have mentioned my LinkedIn profile, and you can know more about me and my work. So this program that I am doing now is on changing workplaces. This is one of the topics that I maybe this is one of my favorite topics, and this I've done another program on this maybe last month. It is also available on my on our channel. That was staying relevant at the workplace. So that also signified as to how the workplaces are changing and how we can stay relevant as an individual into that into the workplace. This program is something which most of the HR professionals should take care of, and as the workplaces are changing, and they are responsible for all the engagement of the employees that are happening into their organizations. This is based on a report which is prepared by Oxford Economics, and the report title is "The Looming Talent Crisis of 2020." You may know more about Oxford Economics if you Google and you find out their website. It's a huge organization working around the globe, and does pretty in-depth surveys on lots of relevant issues in different fields. So this survey that they did was basically done on around the globe, in Latin America, in North America, in Europe, and then in Middle East and Asia Pacific and Africa. And they interviewed people in about 27 countries, and around 2,700 executives and 2,700 employees that they got this survey filled from. And based on this, they came up with lots of results, and those results are pretty relevant to. Although Pakistan was not included into the survey, India is, Kenya is there, Malaysia, Mexico, Netherlands, Turkey is there, then United Emirates is there. But whatever the survey results are, when I looked at them, it seemed quite relevant to what is happening in our work culture in Pakistan also. Although there are still debate, and there is still debate that we through our own methods and through our own kind of culture, we may be making progress. I mean, there are individual pockets of organizations that are making progress, but as a whole corporate organizations, and as an entity, as a cultural as a culture, or as a complete corporate organizations, we may not be having that kind of a success in that should be there. After all, it is about more than now. It's about 70 years that we are. Pakistan is in operations. It is about 30 odd years that corporate organizations are blooming and coming up with new challenges and with new products and with new kind of marketing and HR strategies. But still, there are only very small pockets of organizations that are making progress and embracing the changes, and there are still another pocket of organizations that are not embracing challenges. And both, if you see, on their individual, event by event or activity by activity, they may be successful, but for a long time success, there are very less organizations that can be classified within our environment as organizations that have a long time success, or a sustained success into them. Now, having said that, doesn't mean that this survey that they have done would do something for them in terms of bringing them into a sustained level of success. But whatever the outcomes are there, that are pretty relevant to whatever is happening in Pakistan, and however our organizations are operating and how they should be operating in the near future. in terms of the changing that are happening around the globe. I mean, we are not living in isolation. Something happens in America, something happen in Europe, Australia, or something happens then in Middle East or in Africa, that directly affects us. And something happening in China, and the virus is happening in China, or perhaps there are technology improvements happening in America, USA, or Europe, or Australia, and they affect us. So if all these things affect us, we cannot be left unaffected by whatever the changing workplaces are doing into those countries. We at ourselves cannot be left alone into that. We need to kind of, if not embrace them, we need to understand at least how we can customize them according to our culture. So my purpose of sharing with you this survey, I hope most of you might have gone through the results of this survey. This report was widely shared in different groups, and we all look at those reports. But my purpose is to kind of maybe contextualize or make it more relevant to whatever happening in Pakistan. But first, I will just share the survey results, and based on those survey results, you will be able to see that how it is equally. Even Pakistan is not included, even though Pakistan is not included in that survey, but still they are very much applicable. That's exactly what is happening in Pakistan also. At least I can see is happening around me, the circle that I move around, the networking that I have, and the reports that I get, and the feed that I get from different organizations during my meeting with them, with the consultancy projects or different stuff. And we are moving in the same direction where the whole world is moving. So, and this survey basically, what they found out was that companies lack the structure, strategy, culture. And I have cut pasted this statement from the survey report, that they and once you go through this, you will find out that, I mean, it is something happening. We talk about this in Pakistan also. The companies lack the structure, strategy, culture, solutions, and resources to manage employees effectively, right? So this is, if it is applicable to Pakistan, I mean, we can also, on the other hand, we can say that, oh my God, I mean, they are also facing the same thing. I mean, it is a worldwide phenomena, and it is a worldwide phenomena. And so we shouldn't be that bothered, or should be that worried. I mean, all the companies around the world, be it into the most developed countries, most developed systems, they are also facing the same thing, because this is very much it is a very much human thing. It is very much HR thing, and HR around the globe, though they may have cultural differences, though may have language differences, though may have kind of personality differences, but yes, they are. I mean, they everywhere they are having the same issues in order to succeed. And what they said was that in order to succeed, a number of factors need to be addressed. And what are those factors? Role and relevance of people strategy, right? So they are also banking on the people strategy. Come on, give us some good people strategy. I mean, it is continuously evolving, it is continuously moving on. Changing demographics, evolving definitions of work. I mean, this is what I said in that program, the Staying Relevant into the Workplace also, that there are changing definitions of work also happening around us, and leadership abilities and cultivation of the leaders. This is happening also, and employee wants and needs and talent development that needs to be done into the organization. So employee wants and needs, that is very, very, very interesting phenomena, that they are also willing to take care of that, and we also need to understand that this is something that we need to take care of in our employees. Now, what are those survey results? The changing nature of the work. This was one of the questions that they asked, and the nature of the work is changing. And 41% said, organizations said, that they are using contingent employees, part-time employees, freelancers. 35% says that we are increasingly using intermittent or seasonal employees, and those who are I mean, working on maybe on just summer breaks or some when they have taken break from their studies, or I mean, kind of only seasonal workers. They use them into their workforce. We're increasing using consultant employees. I mean, those who are not full-time employees. They are just using consultants and then paid interns and unpaid interns. So what companies into the world are doing that they are trying to reduce their employee bill. They are trying to reduce their monthly payroll cost. So it is not it is if any company in Pakistan does right sizing or tries to adjust it according to their own needs, we think that the company is very cruel. I mean, what is happening with the government and why the government is not providing employment. I mean, worldwide this is a trend. This is happening. I mean, you need to, and there are more forums that are coming up which are providing you freelancing opportunities. There's one of the such forums is happening in Pakistan, remotesupport.com, which is providing a resource to the Pakistani individuals, and there are other networks that are available which provide kind of freelancing opportunities to the individuals, and all the new generation that is coming up, they are it is said about them that they would be less loyal to any brand, to any company, and they would be less just hopping jobs more often. And instead of hopping jobs, which is a bad concept, they are not at all entering into the job market. They are just working from home. They are preparing their own software, they're preparing their own applications, they are preparing their own work, and they are offering this to the organizations, and organizations are taking it. And that's what the concept is. That's the nature of the work that is changing. Then impact of change nature of work on the employment, on the companies. I mean, they said that it requires the compensation plans should be changed, investment in training should be changed, it requires changes in the employee technology, requires investment in HR technology. So that change in the nature of work is, on the other hand, also impacting the compensation plans into the organizations. Organizations would be forced to rethink their compensation. I mean, and that rethinking is not only on that side where they have to increase the compensation, and that compensation may even be reduced, because someone who is working from home, you don't have to pay him, you don't have to incur the cost of his or her workplace. You may not have to incur cost of his or her kind of internet or mobile or laptop. So that's all or maybe, and in certain cases, if a freelancer is working, you don't need to take care of his social security or insurances. I mean, that's the task based thing that he or she is doing, and you are just paying him for that task. If that task is completed, you pay. If that task is not completed, you don't pay. You go for someone else. So that's how the organizations may be able to save up. And this may be true. This is true for big organizations also. I mean, there are companies which are huge companies, and they don't need to. I mean, on certain occasions, I tell to my recruitment clients also that if you are giving us business abundance, a business of your hiring, then don't just give it to us. Don't just, if you want to do it yourself, just do it. If you want to give it to us, just give it to us. Then spare your time on some more productive activity. If you have outsourced your hiring, then just outsource it. Just don't remain two boats at the same time, that you will do it yourself also, and you will ask the executive search firm also to do this. Just either you do it yourself, or do it to the, or go it to the executive search firm. In that case, you would be on your resources will be better utilized. If you do not want to fire them, if you have a huge HR department, don't fire them. Just relocate them into different areas or different, and people would be willing to remain working into that organization under the current circumstances also, where there are less jobs outside. But I mean, that thinking is also reducing the overall monthly bill of the organization, and that's the HR's job to do, and that's the finance job also to do. Bring that comparison on the table. That okay, this is what is the savings that the company is doing by outsourcing certain non-key operations of the company that we are doing, right? Now, the labor market shifts and workplace strategy. Please rate the impact the following labor market shifts are having on your workforce strategy. So, there were certain areas that they identified and asked people to say that how these are impacting their workforce strategy, like globalization of labor supply is changing their workplace strategy. I mean, the and that globalization does not only mean that the people can fly from here to the to USA or Europe or Australia, or from Australia to some other country, or from UK to some other country, but by sitting there they can work for them. I mean, you must be aware of the fact that companies in USA, companies in Australia, Europe, and they are using our workforce, Bengali workforce, Indian workforce, to do lots of work for them, and that's basically a globalization of the labor supply. I mean, labor is available throughout the. I mean, you don't have to shift that labor to your country. They can do it. Your work in their country. So that is basically changing the workforce strategy also. Millennials are entering into the work. The 51% say that okay, that is also changing the workforce strategy. The new generation, the new ideas they are bringing in, the new kind of thoughts that are bringing in, the millennials people are coming in, and they are influencing the workforce strategy. Difficulty in recruiting employees with base level skills, that is one of the area. I mean, there are now base level skills, shortage of base level skills, like person who is maybe it's strange, but the people who have maybe have done mechanical engineering, they've just done mechanical engineering, and they don't know about mechanics. And there are people who have done electrical engineering, but even then they are not exposed to the basic stuff of electronics or electrical engineering. I mean, in the same tune, those people who have done MBA, I mean, they are good for nothing. I'm sorry for them, but they are good for nothing. A simple MBA is nothing for that matter. I mean, it was a good thing about 20, 25, 30 years ago, but now simple MBA, okay. So what else can you do? So they are the basic. They are lacking the basic skills that an organization requires. So that is also changing the workforce strategies. Increasing number of intermittent and seasonal workers that we saw in the last slide. Increasing number of contingent employees, that is also changing. The employees' expectations are changing. That's very interesting. That the new generation that is coming up, their expectations are different from those who are of previous generation, or maybe of my generation, or generation which is previous to me. And their expectations from the employers are changing, and they want kind of different work structure, flexibility, environment, the organizational decorum, the kind of cleaning, or perhaps the kind of treatment they get from their bosses, and their expectations are totally changing. Aging workflows, that is also helping that they change the workflow strategy. At the same time, there are new generation coming in, and then there are people who are aging into the. This may not be that much of an issue in Pakistan currently, because we have different kind of age structures also. But yes, there is something which is in Pakistan also. The corporate organizations, when the age goes a little I mean, more than 50 plus, or somewhere around that. I mean, the person is, if he or she applies to some organization, I mean, the chances of getting a good senior level position, a good position, is evaporates slowly. changing work models, telecommunicating, flexible timings. I mean, there we also spoken about the increasing number of consultant employees, difficulty recruiting specialized employees. So these are all the things that they people throughout the world recognize that they are changing the workforce strategy. And now, how these are changing in your scenario, you can see that what are these things that can apply to your organization, and how your organization can change their workforce strategy based on this. If this applies to you, good. If it doesn't, I mean, then again you have to rethink that. Okay, I mean, there are people who are available worldwide, and how you as an HR, or if you are a finance guy, or if you are an owner of the company, how you can go deep into these things, look back into your organization and see that where you can save money into your by changing your workforce strategy, how you can utilize, how you can reduce your workforce, maybe, I mean, or how you can utilize those people who are seasonal workers or consultants, or you can outsource your non-key operations into the organization, where you don't need anyone who is sitting all the time into the organization, or sitting 9 to 5 into the organization. Why you have to pay for their insurance bills, their petrol, their mobile, the space they are occupying into the organization? Why you have to do this? You can just hire someone who from outside, or you can hire the same person on a better, maybe lump sum package, and put him into the contract or consultancy side, maybe. So HRC to the table. To what extent do you agree with the following statements about the workforce development's role in the business planning? So this question relates to the HR's role into the business planning, the HR development's role, the workforce development department's role into the business planning. So 52% said that workforce issues drive strategy at the board level, right? That at the board level, the workforce issues, whatever happening into the workforce, they are driving a strategy of at the board level. And 28% said that HR advises the C-suite executives but does not have a voice in decision making. So they also have this issue that they advise, but still they don't have any decision making voice. HR works well with C-suite executives to make strategic decisions about the business. And this is very important, that workforce issues are an afterthought in business planning. 24% also think this way, that workforce issues are an afterthought. HR is consulted after high level decisions. I mean, this is one very kind of dilemma, or what we say that ek dukti rag hai in Pakistan. It is that that HR is consulted at the time that major things are already done. So now, why are you asking us? So they go to the HR afterwards. HR is not consulted at all about business planning. So business planning, in business planning, HR is at not consulted. So if you think this is how the HR is being treated into the organization, HR is still playing catch up, in the information economy. To what extent do you agree with the following statement, right? We know how to extract meaningful insights from the data available to us. 42% said that, only 42% said that this is, we know that. We use quantifiable matrices and benchmarking as part of our workforce. 39% suggest this. We have ample data about the workforce to understand our strengths and potential vulnerabilities from a skills perspective. 38% think this. So overall, in the global scenario also, that HR is still catching up with whatever is happening into the analytics field, whatever happening in the data field, what is happening into the changing the changes occurring into the workplaces. So HR, which is known as a change agent department, HR, which is known as a developmental department, which is responsible or being tasked with developing their people, HR itself is far behind in terms of whatever changing are happening. I mean, it is difficult to comprehend, but HR in itself is quite resistant to change at certain points. I mean, this is sad, but this is true. But on the other hand, this goes also to reflect that HR people are also part of the same economy. They are also part of the same culture. They are also growing up in the same environment. But if HR people are trained well, HR people are trained into thinking, and HR people are recruited well in that sense, that they should be the leaders in bringing in the change. But on the other hand, HR in itself is still catching up with the changes that are happening, and somehow there are certain HR principles that define that they need to go ahead. But on the other hand, the HR people are not, maybe not capable enough, or not open enough, or not flexible enough to embrace all those changes. Difficult thing for HR people, but that somehow the survey results which is are showing are pretty kind of consistent with the fact that we as HR people also need to not only embrace change, but also understand that yes, flexibility, or there are new things that we need to take on as the change professionals, or as workforce strategy professionals, right? And this is very interesting thing that by the end that came up, the obstacles in meeting workforce goals, right? What are the major impediments to achieving your goals of building a workforce to meet future business objectives, right? So so these are the impediments that are there, basically in terms of the workforce goals, and the biggest ones are three on the top is a lack of employee longevity and loyalty. That's 35% thought that this is the case. Leadership is one very important. Lack of adequate technology is very important. So these are the three major things. And then of course there are lack of internal resources, competitive pays, for example, they are not available. Engaged employees, I mean, we talk about huge about the engagement of but still that is an impediment. The people are not engaged. Lack of available employees, I mean, people who are skillful, people who are technology savvy, people who are competent enough. Then lack of skill talent, of course. And these are all the kind of impediments. These are all the obstacles that are stopping the organization to meet their challenges in terms of the workforce. All the goals that they have kept for their workforce into the organizations, people in the midway they leave the organization. In the midway they find another job and they go there. And I mean, it is, on the other hand, it's the right of the employee to go anywhere he or she likes. But this is another very this is the longevity and the loyalty of the employee is directly related to what an employee is asked to contribute into the organization, how that individual is being led into the organization, how that individual is being engaged with the organization, and how that person is adequately being given the different skills into the organization. That is directly related to how loyal a person will be with the organization, and how long his or her career will be for the organization. For that matter, I understand there are lots of people into the organization at different grades. They are with the organization for a very long period of time. I mean, there are pockets of organization that have such kind of people. There are pockets of people who are with the organization for last 10 years, 15 years, or more than that. But if you look at those people, and you maybe know them, you may be thinking, you may get to the result that and being in HR, you get that result, that those people may have tried a lot to move out of that organization, but over time they were not able to. They couldn't find any other job, and they are still there. So they tried hard to move out of that organization, but they still are there. There is a pocket of people who are like this, but there are still people who just don't want to leave. I mean, they are happy whatever they are doing. So they are. So in Pakistan context, yes, the it may have similar percentage. 35% that people who are who want to be into the organization for a longer period of time, or don't want to be into the organization for a longer period of time. But the major issue is lack of what in our context that I think is that lack of skilled talent in Pakistan, the skilled talent, because there is a very shortage of skilled people. I mean, I don't think engagement may be an issue or longevity may be an issue in Pakistan. But to these issues, the adequate leadership, yes, the leadership would be an issue. Organizational leadership, that is an issue in Pakistan, and the skilled talent, that is one of two of the key issues that should have been considered in Pakistan in terms of the meeting of the workforce goals, because there are shortage of skilled people, skills in every aspect, skills in and there are smart people, but they may not be as skilled in terms of the overall in organizational activities. Their career may get stalled at certain point in time because they cannot have that skillful negotiation capability with them, or perhaps the presentation skills are not there, or perhaps their technical skills are not that sound, or they haven't learned about developing themselves. So that is in Pakistan, that is one of the very key issues. So at the end, this one of the they shown that throughout the globe when they did it, how it differed. I mean, the North America and Latin America have a similar kind of a structure. The Asia Pacific and Middle East and Africa have a similar kind of an outcome, and this outcome was basically on the basis of who drives strategy. So in Asia Pacific and Africa, most of the people think that it is the chief people officer who drives the strategy. I doubt that in certain cases in Pakistan, but that's what the survey results are showing. In Latin America and North America, they think that COO drives the strategy. CHRO, or the HR person, comes second. Here they think that HR person is driving the strategy, and here the CIO or the COO comes later. But Europe, on the other hand, is kind of middle of both. If you see the numbers, compare the numbers, Europe, and that's how the Europe is placed in the middle. And it's one extreme is the Latin America, North America, and the other extreme is Asia Pacific and Africa, and the middle is Europe. So this is how the strategy that is being who drives the strategy. That's one area. So this was basically the major outcomes of those of that survey, and what we have to do in our context, in Pakistani context, where we should go. For this, I'm very simply and very shortly and very quickly, just three major things: customize, communicate, and cooperate. I mean, three C's that you can name them. Customize all these things according to your own organizational needs, according to your own business needs. According to, if you are a manufacturing concern, you have different needs. If you are a service industry, there's different needs. If you are a tech industry, there's a different need. So you have to customize all those previous things that in slides you have seen. Customize according to, I mean, maybe for a manufacturing company, the outsourcing agenda may not be that helpful. But yes, still they can think that where they can outsource, where they can use freelancers, where they can use consultants, where they can use unpaid or paid interns. For service industry, I mean, they can do lots of outsourcing. Again, thinking about their own customization, what are their business needs. Communicate with your people, with the strategy makers, with the board, with the HR, with the finance, with the owner, with CEO, with CIO, with CHRO. I mean, all those have to communicate on a regular basis. This cannot be done in isolation. the regular meetings that had to be. Communication does not only mean, of course, meetings. Communication also means that whatever is changing, happening around the globe, you need to, in your organization, whatever changes are happening, whatever changes are happening in your industry, in your business, in your own day-to-day affairs, communicate these with the people, so that they could also own those changes, they could also own those new ideas that are coming into the organization, and then cooperate with the people in terms of their needs, in terms of their flexibilities, in terms of whatever their wants and needs are into the organization, so that you could customize your environment into a better way. So all these things are pretty simple and pretty decent, but they, if you are willing to change your workplace, if you are willing to move into this decades of 2020s, and if you are looking around and how the changes in the work structure are happening around the globe, changes need to be made. It is not that these changes need to be made, it is that changes need to be made. Now those changes can be customized, and you don't need to have all those changes that are happening in some other company into similar industry. You cannot, or a similar organization, if they are making some changes, their changes may be good for them, not for you. But whatever good changes you can make into your organization, to your culture, around your people, they can be good, they can be more kind of owned by your own people, they can be more owned. But the fact goes that without changes you cannot sustain a good level of profitability or a good level of sustained income for your own business or your people or the economy that you are operating in. So this is something which is quite important, quite relevant. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, you can send me an email, or you can write down under the comment section. There must be lots of things, this is just a very small gist of the overall scenario that is happening around us. But there are a lot of things, there are a lot of experiences that you as an HR or a owner or a CEO or an individual might have into your organization or into the work structure that you are in. Share those also. So thank you very much for your time, and if you have any if you want to know more about our company, you can go to the website. And बहुत शुक्रिया. खुदा हाफिज़.